Our second discussion now. As Nigeria prepares to hold its seventh consecutive general election since the country returned to democracy in 1999, it has been described as the most looked forward to in the history of the country. With more youths getting their PVCs, the clamor for a better leader has increased both online and offline. As the country continues to battle with a myriad of problems from insecurity to poverty, a decaying health sector and a collapsing education system, Nigerians are yearning for leaders who can address these problems and pull back the nation from the brinks. So joining us to discuss his agenda is the Ogun West NNPP Senatorial candidate, Olufemi Aina. It's nice to have you join us this morning, and good morning. I hope 2023 is starting so well with all the campaigns. All right, now let's hit the ground this way. People talk about, especially for those who are contesting for either House of Assembly, House of Representatives, or the Senate. They talk about quality representation. But what really constitutes quality representation?
Well, the first starting point, let me, before I answer your question, let me first of all express my sincere appreciation to your station.
Thank you.
For creating a level playing field for everybody.
Thank you.
And despite the political affiliations of those behind the station. And what you've done.
We are open to all.
Yes, and we are open to all.
And that's why you're here.
And that's why I'm here. And I'm very, very honored to be here.
Thank you.
And I thank you for doing that. Yeah. At the same time, let me also express my sincere appreciation to the people of Ogun West who are showing overwhelming love for my aspiration to be a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because of their love, their kindness, and their thoughtfulness, I'm oozing optimism. And I look forward to the day I will walk into your studio as a distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Leaving that aside, when you talk about quality representation, one thing that is uppermost is this. Personally to me, I'm going to be a people's senator. People's senator in the sense that I'm going to be someone who will identify with the myriad of problems which they are going through, some of which you enumerated earlier. And at the same time, there is going to be constituency surgery, where the people in that constituency, they will have the opportunity to walk in and have a one-to-one chat with me as their representative. That is how it is being done, where I've been, and all the places I've been. And it is quite surprising. In the last few months, I've been going around the nooks and corners of Ogun West. And where you see people, all these market women telling you that, look, the problem we have is that once you get there, we don't see them again. We are seeing you now, you are talking to us, we are listening, but as soon as you get in, we won't see you. And I try to convince them, well, I represent change, a change from the status quo. You will see me. You know I'm a son of the soil. You know the family house. Come hell or high water, I'm going to come home. So come there. And if you don't see me, it is still your right to come and protest in front of the house. The family members will talk to me. But it won't get to that level of absurdity because the channel of communication will be there. And when you talk about the quality representation, I'm going to be your voice. When I get into the Senate, I will speak for you. I identify with what people are going through. And there's a lot of them. And Mike, I must say this to you. There is hunger in the land. People are losing hope daily. And for us to address this, that's why during the campaign, I try as much as possible to educate them that this election, we are not voting for money. We are voting for people we believe in. We are voting for people who are going to represent them and give them quality representation. And I must make one important point. Going to the Senate is a public service. And all those cardinal principles of public life, the 7 cardinal principles of accountability, selflessness, integrity, honesty, I'm going to embrace it wholeheartedly so that people will know they have somebody who is representing them from Ogun West.
All right. Now, there is something going on that it seems Nigerians are beginning to see legislators as chief executives, where sometimes a senator or a representative or a House of Assembly member comes and you hear them demand for things like water, things like roads, things like schools, that are originally in the purview of the executive to execute or to implement. Is it a misplaced demand, or how does that?
No,
it's
not misplaced. Okay. Because you see, most of these things stands and fall on the failure of the executives.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, when people see you as the representative, that's a good opportunity for them to speak out. And what I realized, having been going around in the last few months, is that some of the public, they don't even know the distinction. That you as a legislator, what you are going to do is to make law for good governance and what have you. So I assure them that, look, as soon as I get into the Senate, I'm going to bring a bus, take you to Abuja, so that you see what your senator, whatever is doing. And that is how it is being done all over. If you go to the House of Commons in London, you can walk in after the security check, sit down, you see
and observe
the MPs.
The proceedings.
You observe proceedings,
okay.
You see the quality of the debate, you have a better understanding of the issue. You see MPs asking questions which they want the Prime Minister to answer. And the MPs, some of these questions being asked by the MP, they've managed to gather those questions from their community members. Because during the constituency surgery, people will come, they will talk, they will say this. And then the MP pass that information to the executives or the ministers. And, what you discover is that there will be action. And so most of members of the public, by the time you go out, you just realize one thing. They're asking you for pipe-borne water. They're asking for this. They're asking for that. But it is okay. I ask your legislator, when they ask you that question, the onus is on you as their representative to write to the executive. That the people in this particular, I went to a community 2 weeks ago. For the last 7 years, they've never had any power supply in that community for 7 years. And you see electric poles here and there. I asked them, who is representing you? And you can even, assuming there's a problem with the transformer, can't you give them a solar light? What is the big deal about this? But you as the legislator, once they have the opportunity to raise those issues with you, that is why you must have your constituency office. Then you write a letter to the executive and you follow it up and make sure there is action.
All right. But sorry for
No, it's okay.
But the issue there is, in this instance that you have, or this picture you have painted,
yes,
we know that the executive, before the year, a budget has been created, yes, or put together for various projects. Now, if a situation happens where the road, let's assume one of the roads in your constituency is not in the budget, and the people are calling your attention, and you are going to speak to the executive using the instrument of legislation. How do you make the executive address that road that is not in the budget for that year?
Yeah, there are a lot of issues. Okay. Because don't forget, occasionally we have this concept of supplementary budgets. Anyway, that's there. And it's not limited. You don't wait until that budget. Okay. Because at the end of the day, there's something they are doing now which is very effective. Before they pass the budget, they always have this they call town hall meetings. You as the representative, you can attend. You encourage the member of your constituency to make sure they attend that town hall meeting, because that is a good opportunity for you to put all your demands across to the executive before, the budget is drawn up or what have you. So that's another good opportunity. The other good opportunity is that the moment they keep raising the issue, you see the problem we have in Nigeria, which I'm really disturbed about. If, I met this, I went to Bogila and some other houses, and they were talking about custom officers, killing them, doing this and that. And I said, look, who is your representative? He is supposed to be in the front, and then you at the back with placard. Then we can protest and tell the executive we are not happy. Even the road to my hometown, I'm telling you, it's not something to write home about. And then you still have a government in the state. So when you get there, and I've assured them that the first 6 months, in order to alleviate poverty and drive the necessary growth to Ogun West, the first 6 months, there's going to be a serious economic summit. And it is during this summit, there will be discussion for and against, so that we can drive the necessary infrastructure to that area. Because you see, what some of the state governments are doing is that at the end of the day, the roads are not good, and then the next thing they tell you is a federal road. Because that is a convenient excuse for them. Whether it is a federal road or state road, it doesn't matter. The economic life of the people, the economic life of the area, it is what is very, very paramount. And also, apart from that, there's going to be a database of Ogun West indigenes. Some of them are very prominent in their respective field. If we have that, so we can harness the skill in order to bring the necessary development into the area. Take, for instance, there are quite a lot of them who are medical doctors. When you reach out to them, even if it's one day in a month, they can come back to Ogun West, attend to people's medical needs. It makes a lot of difference. And some of these villagers, honestly, between me and you, they are going through a lot. If you see, so I went to a community, I visited their maternity center, and I asked them, how have you been managing to give birth? They said, well, they have to rush them from this place to that place. By the time they carry them here and there, some of them pass away, unfortunately. And it's not supposed to be. So the issue which I'm raising, and the issue which I'm going to embrace, is to make sure there's proactive engagement with the people in that constituency in order to identify with their needs and make sure I follow the right line of communication to pass it to the executive.
Okay. All right. When we come back from this break, we'll be talking about some of the things you will be doing differently, because we see that for Ogun West, there are other candidates that have been on ground, and all of you have also been on ground, but in comparative terms, some people will say, okay, fine, there's going to be a Herculean task for all those who are contesting, because all of you are big names. Now, Ogun West has strong candidates, you being one of them. But why would an Ogun voter vote for you instead, and not maybe Yai, and not maybe the Labour Party candidate, and not maybe the PDP candidate?
Well, first and foremost, number one, they see me as somebody they can connect with, okay? Because I'm an original son of the soil, okay? I schooled there.
The others will also claim the same thing, being sons of the soil.
I don't want to open a Pandora box, so maybe we should just leave it that way. But what I'm going to tell you is that I am an original son of the soil. I'm somebody they can identify with, and I'm somebody who actually understands their needs, because I've been through everything they can ever think about. And when I meet them, it is quite clear. Some of them now realize that, this is our senator. This is a senator we know we can easily approach. I am not going to be a sitting senator who will be at Abuja, and they just see me when I want to give them a grinding machine and all this nonsense, which they don't really need. What I'm going to do is to make sure issues and things that affect their life, I identify with it, and we provide solution. And at the same time, that thing called the dividends of democracy. It's not about washing machine, sewing machine, and you give it to them. Some of them don't even have the skill to use those machines. As soon as you give it to them, they are going to sell it. They go and sell it and just make a quick money. And at the same time, you see a situation whereby you give them this gas lamp, and they don't even have money to buy the gas. So, those are not the issues. The issues is that how we are going to bring the necessary development to the area, how we are going to improve the quality of life. You see, if you don't give your citizens opportunity, they will look for opportunity elsewhere. And in looking for that opportunity elsewhere, some of them might take to criminal act if you are not careful. And those are the core issues we need to address. We need to make sure. Look, I met a woman during one of the rally who said the husband has been working for a Chinese company for the last 10 years as a cashier. How could that happen? We need to strengthen our labor law to make sure those in such a situation, they have a right. Because the moment they are cashier, they just deal with them anyhow. So, that is not going to happen. Labor exploitation is something we need to take serious here. And at the same time, which is very concerning. If you go around to those areas, you realize that all this trader money, e-money, whatever money they've been talking about,
Empire.
some are empower. Look, bet me and you, some of the villagers don't even know. They are not receiving. Who is the representative? And I've assured them that if there is any power, money, and what have you, I will come home over the weekend, announce on radio where I'm going to be, come up with educated people who are going to help you fill the form. If you don't have a bank account, bring your son's bank account so that whatever it is, whether it's 10,000 or 5,000, the federal government is allocating to the Empower money so that you will get it. Some were even surprised that there is something like that going on. So you see, if the unfortunate thing about this country, which I realized in the last few months and before, is that we don't go in the rural areas and see what people are going through. And I've assured them that there's this a good association called Yewa Development Forum. We identify with them, work in consonance with them, so that we bring the necessary development that will improve the quality of life. There's something you need to know, Mike. I'm not contesting as an independent candidate. I'm contesting under a political party, the New Nigerian People's Party. And the incoming president of our party is Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. And there's a blueprint. And that blueprint is about 152 pages. If you go through the blueprint, even if you can't read, I recommend people to read the summary. All the myriad of problems which you enumerated earlier, all the solutions has been preferred. And I, as the representative, and as an incoming NNPP candidate, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to key in seriously into this so that we address what people are going through. And it goes beyond Ogun West alone. Equal opportunity for men and women. Avoiding discrimination based on ethnic line. That is very important. Quality education. And, this idea that we are going to give students loan so that they can further their education, it's not going to work because some of the students don't even know when they are going to graduate. Because once they enter the university now, as soon we go on strike for 8 months, 3-year course become 4-year course. As soon as they resume Nigeria Labour Congress, we go on strike. And then, after that, the student too will riot. So 3-year course will turn to 7 years course. How can you give people loan when they don't even know when they are going to graduate? And if they manage to even graduate, they don't even know what is going to happen because of unemployment. So what we are doing is that there is no point having a country producing graduates that doesn't have the necessary skill. There is something I used to experience in England, which I don't experience here. When I sit in my office, I see students writing letters that they want to come for work experience. I take them to court, I take them to tribunals, and from there, they know how to use the photocopy machine, they know how to prepare bundle, they know how to send a fax. But in Nigeria here, you don't see. The only thing you see is that once you go around the nursery school, you see a drawing of a lawyer, a doctor, and what have you. You see, we don't wait until they graduate. They must have that work experience. There are some things you do in London whereby even you bring your children to come to the office so that they have an understanding of what you do. And for the people of Ogun West, I'm going to work in partnership with the Yewa Development Forum and other forums to make sure that, look, we find a solution. And for the those you mentioned, that why would they not vote for Yayi, this and that. Yayi will not win that election from Ogun West because they have a political agenda. And that agenda, he has this on Eddie ambition to be the governor of Ogun State. And then what he now did is that they said, look, don't wait until 2027. Just come now, contest as a senator. Then in 2027, when Dapo Abiodun is leaving, maybe, and the next governor will come from the Ogun State, it will be your turn. And it's very, very, very annoying because the worst aspect now, presently we have a senator, which is distinguished Senator Tolu Odebi. Now, they've managed to push him aside. Now, what we have is that Yayi is representing Lagos West. The people in Lagos West, as things stand, they don't even have a senator because he's busy following Governor Dapo Abiodun all over the place in order to realize his ambition to be a senator from Ogun West. And when you go around, people are now saying, you've been a senator in Lagos West for 16 years. Why are you now coming to Ogun State? Let's give somebody else who is a breath of a fresh air the opportunity, and let us see. And when you come to Ogun West, you are coming because of your own personal ambition in order to be the governor. And that is not going to work. And what people are now doing is that, though having said that, it's well-resourced, I must acknowledge that, but the issues...
Yeah, but doesn't he have the right as an indigene of Ogun State to contest for governor if he wants to?
We are not questioning his constitutional rights. Okay. You have the right to contest for whatever you like. You understand me? But what we are saying is that at the same time, people also have the right to read meanings into your action. And that is what the people are doing. That is why they are now saying that, look, this election, we are not going to vote for any Yayi. We are voting you, Femi Aina, as our senator. Because don't forget, apart from the fact that, I publish in the community newspaper, and I've used that newspaper also in the past in order to, create awareness, not about my own, about what is going on in the various community that is there. And I used to work as a reporter with the Village News in the past myself before Fortune smiled on me. So when you look at all these things in the round, and they realize the fact that some of them can connect with you along the family route, and and apart from that, you are somebody who has always been very feasible, even though despite all the opportunity in United Kingdom, I don't stay there. I shuttle between Nigeria and UK, and I now have a better understanding of what is going on in this country. I have a better understanding of how we are going to make sure we deal with all these problems that people are facing left, right, and center.
All right. What do you think are the factors that will shape the pattern of voting in this election, especially in Ogun West?
Well, it's not even limited to Ogun West alone. Mm-hmm. Number one, Nigerians are a lot wiser now. Right. Number one, the second point is that they look at the candidates, apart from the political parties. And it's not, leaving that aside, one other important thing is that they now realize that we have tried PDP for almost 16 years. We have tried APC for 7.5 years. And we are now where we are. Let us give somebody else another opportunity. So they are ready to embrace change. And I represent that change. The NNPP represents that change. And by the time we get the result of the next election and the new president, President Kwakwazo, come into office, Nigeria will know that they've made the right choice.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the National Assembly that you are getting into. A lot of Nigerians have started saying that running a bicameral legislature is quite expensive. Yes. And they make reference to the First Republic where we ran the parliamentary system and we had just a unicameral legislature, and it was simpler, it was cheaper, it was easier. What do you say to this? Because we see around the country, around the continent and even around the world, some countries are beginning to collapse their bicameral legislature into one.
Well, maybe it will take time because we have a presidential system of government. And in a presidential system of government, we are going to have a bicameral legislature. But we've tried the parliamentary system. We are now trying the presidential system. And despite we are still complaining. If at the end of the day, we need to have a new system, okay? What is going to happen? That is going to be decided by the people. And one of the benefits of our constitution is flexibility, okay? So we can easily, a written constitution, one of the benefits is that. So there is a procedure whereby we can amend the constitution and decide what sort of government or system we want to run. So it is the people who will decide. But the other problem which I have is that, you see, when you go to the National Assembly, one thing I'm concerned about, and I'm going to do, as soon as I get there, I'm going to promote this. Because, you see, if you look at the members of the National Assembly, honestly, you would think some of them are just a fashion icon. You know, you go into the market, they say, which my fabric? They say, oh, you mean senator material. What senator material? Members of parliament, if you want to buy a suit in London, nobody tell you want MP suit. Do you understand? If you go to, if you are in the US, you need a suit, nobody asks you, do you want
presidential material?
Presidential material. You see, and if you now look at them, it's as if they are going for a funeral, the way they dress. So I'm going to try as much as possible to let us have a uniform. On Friday, you can come up with your barbariga and whatever you want. But for now, because you see, being a legislator is a serious business. Let us be realistic. Because we are making law for the people. And that is a good opportunity we all need to embrace seriously. And when I get there, I'm going to steer the honestness to make sure that, because the impression people are getting, look, Mike, please, go on the feed. I have the opportunity to meet people. The impression they are getting is as if when you get there, you are going to be minted. That money will just come. So they tell you some ridiculous thing you can't believe. Somebody was even telling me how much I'm going to get for furniture allowance. How do you know? How do you know that? Because you see, that is the impression people are getting. People are not getting that impression that you are going there to be there to work and be their representative. Yeah. That is why I told them that as soon as I get there, from each ward, we are going to arrange so that you send members in and have a better understanding. And some of these agencies, I must be sincere, like National Orientation Agency, they are very, very defective in the sense that they are not educating people. If I tell you, just yesterday, I didn't come back home until about 11 p.m. because I went around some communities along here, why not? And now, I now showed this ballot sample, that this is how it's going to be. This is the finger you use, your thumbprint. You see. If you see, it was like a graveyard silence because all these old women, they don't have a better understanding how they are going to vote. So they were listening. Then we now started distributing that ballot sample. You will see the way they embrace it. You will see they are calling members of my team, say, so is this. This is the way. Then you fold it. Drop it. If anybody snatch the ballot box, don't worry chasing them because it's not going to work. It's a different system now. You know.
And this is supposed to be the responsibility of the orientation agency.
The National Orientation Agency. Because it cuts across the state that some of them don't even know what is going on. So, you see, and by going out, educating them, showing them that sample, it makes a lot of difference. Because on election day, some will get intimidated because of police and everything around that. Look, don't be afraid. They are just there to make sure that, you know, there's orderliness and what have you. Go in there, do this. If you're physically challenged, you can take your son there. You see, and they really show the appreciation. And what we are saying is that for Ogun West, people who are throwing money into this, it's not about money. It's about quality representation. It's about people having a change. And that change is going to happen. And that change is what I'm going to represent. And I've told them that this idea where you don't see your legislators, you will see me. And I'm going to, and I've told you earlier, that I'm going to embrace those 7 principles of public service. If I receive the constituency allowance or whatever, I will put it on Facebook. This is the alert I just received. Let us meet this day so that we can discuss the way forward. You see, by the time that is it's supposed to be what you call participatory democracy, where people are going to have a say. And then they will be less critical. Because you see, if you sit with them, you can sit from morning till evening. You will see they have nothing good to say about what is going on around.
Let's talk about this. Now you mentioned it. I had it written down for us to talk about earlier. But let's talk about this constituency funding that a lot of people have come to see or assume that it is monies for the legislators. You know, the point there is, in the books, it is monies that don't even come to the legislator directly. You know, as much as he is supposed to guide what the money should be spent on, you know, in collaboration or in consultation with the people, what they need and all of that. But we've seen in so many instances where the monies are released from the system and somehow the project to which they say they have been released for, we still don't see them, either the water or irrigation or whatever the thing is.
Yes.
And somehow, along the chain, the money disappears.
Yes.
So is there justification for this constituency funds?
There is nothing wrong. Look, honestly, there's nothing wrong with that because you are the representative of the people. You're expected to know their needs and what is going on in various communities. You use the word, you don't know where the money is paid to. Who do they, at least they pay the money to, either you submit the budget, the constituency, and what have you, and then either they pay the money to the legislator somehow. I don't have a strong opinion about that. But what we need to do is this. Number one, I don't know whether you've seen some adverts whereby if they make allocation to the various states, they publish the figure. Now, if you pay, if you pay any legislator, constituency allowance or project allowance, whatever name you want to call it, it is very important you publish it in major newspaper so that the people will know. You see, the problem we have in this country, the duty of accountability has no end. Even once you cease to be a legislator, you still owe the people that duty of accountability because they can still ask you questions. And what they need to do, make sure you publish it. Then you mandate every legislator, once they receive, if the money is paid to them, they must release. Then we must have a monitoring team, either from the National Assembly, but they can't do that because otherwise you'll be monitoring yourself. An independent monitoring team that will go around and make sure this money are being spent for the right project. Until we do that, the money will disappear, to use your word, and it's been disappearing anyway. So what we're going to do is this, and I've assured them, if I receive such money, I'm going to put it on the social media, and then we will now sit down and decide in your own community, what do you need there? In this community, what do you mean? Then we distribute the money. If there is any duty of accountability later on, or somebody asks question, all of us will account for it together, not myself alone. Once we do that, at least that will help to an extent to cop all this nonsense where the projects, they will start it, they abandon it, and then the media need to be robust. You see, they are the watchdog of the society. What I cannot understand in Nigeria is that, you see, the media, they used to be very robust, but for some reasons, there's this Hampshire attitude whereby whatever you just throw at them is what they publish. They don't do independent verification. It's very important. It's not impossible for a senator to say, I've done this, I've done that. That is fine. Then you jump on a bus, go and verify. What you will see there, it will be a different story. That is quality journalism. We shall be aware of that. You go and verify. So I want journalists to be able to verify those projects. And you cannot just say, this is the project I'm going to. It's going to be done in consultation with the relevant association, and it's going to be done in consultation with the people. Let them decide, and then once you start the project, let them the community to constitute a committee that will monitor that project to the end.
All right. The work of the media is one that we can't totally exhaust what we need to do, and that point is really taken. More has to be done. As much as we have people doing a lot of that, but it can't be enough. We need more hands to do that. Now, let's talk about the issue, before we go, let's talk about the issue of the full-time, part-time legislation, or legislators, general legislators. Now, some people have said that, well, in the past, we've had instances where the work of coming to make laws is a part-time job where you are busy in yourself, as it is, and then you come on certain days to sit down, deliberate on some of the issues, and then after those days, you go back to your work. But as it is, of course, it is full-time this time around, and everybody goes to Abuja, and then you relocate to Abuja, and Abuja is the home. Well, what's your opinion regarding this?
Well, I don't think it's going to work in principle, because at the end of the day, the society is not static. In those days, when you talk about the days you are talking about, people are well informed. And the level of poverty which we are putting up with now wasn't there then. And there's this spirit in those days where you call the spirit of contentment. The little you have, you are happy.
It's okay with
you understand me? There's food sufficiency. There is opportunity. You come out of the university, there's a job. I went to a teacher's college. After graduation, you get the letter posting you to this school to go and see. You see, things are not the way it used to be. And now, if you now said you are a part-timer, the electorate will start criticizing you that he's not even sitting there. He's been busy running his own business here and there. Why did we vote for him? And then your opponents will capitalize on that. But what we are saying is also good for legislators to have a means of earning money, aside from what they are going to get as the legislator. And if they have that means, it is probable, I'm using that word, probable, that money relating to constituency project disappearing, that will not be there. It's still, because they still have an alternative, okay? And the other thing is that the money we are spending in order to be elected as a senator is a lot. To mobilize people and then share, call, this and that. That is something we also need to look at. But there is no alternative. And when you spend all those huge amount of money, it is also probable by the time you get there, that will be your first priority. There are some people who are taking loan. There are people mortgaging their houses here and there. There are some people who are in debt. So that is why at all costs, they still have to remain in the Senate. Because if they are not there, the bubble will burst. So, there are a lot of issues we need to look at in order to address that. And then with what is going on in this country, how long is that part-time parliament going to sit for? Because there are a lot of issues we need to discuss. So definitely it has to be a full-time task.
All right, just in 1 minute, let me give you this opportunity to speak directly to your constituents who are watching right now, Ogun West Senatorial District. So before we go, just in a minute.
What I'm going to let you to tell the people of Ogun West. I appreciate your effort. I appreciate the overwhelming love they are showing, and I promise I won't let them down.
All right. Thank you very much, Olufemi Aina, Ogun West NNPP senatorial candidate. We wish you well at the poll.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you.
Right.